Hey, what's up, Super Simps, and welcome back to another episode of SimplyPodLogical, a Simply Nailogical podcast.
Hello, we are back.
We're
for
back.
Taco Tuesday. Happy Taco Tuesday, everyone.
Happy Taco Tuesday. Cristine, I want you to get excited about your life.
Okay, Dr. Phil.
I want to talk about your childhood. I want to
explore the traumas.
open up that head of yours and peek inside what made Cristine end up this way.
Okay.
So we were listening to the H3 podcast a few weeks ago, and they had a whole segment where they were just talking about like embarrassing stories about themselves. And that was a lot of fun. And so we started talking about that, and it just sort of turned into us talking about like our childhood memories, childhood experiences, embarrassing things that happened to us as children. We realized we've never really talked about our childhoods.
No, so we ended up having a podcast not recorded as a podcast between us when we had this conversation. And we're like, why don't we just make this a podcast?
Why would we have a conversation that we don't
not
record?
recorded? No.
Yeah, because we talked about high school, we talked about university, we've talked about first jobs, but I don't think we've ever sort of, cracked open
and
that box
this
into
has been highly requested, though, because when I ask people for an open-ended answer, and I'm like, what do you want to see on SimplyPodLogical? Some of them have said things like embarrassing stories or how you were like as a child. Mm-hmm. So I think it is, for some reason, something you guys want to hear.
But you kind of act like a child now, so people can probably imagine
I still
nothing's
haven't
really
grown
changed.
Up. So really, I'm telling you the story of me now, still, to this day, 32 years old.
So you're just telling us stories. Okay, maybe here's a way of kicking this off. What is your earliest memory? What's the earliest thing you can remember?
Think back a long time, Christine. Can you go back that far? Does not compute. I don't know. And I feel like a lot of people don't know because the first thing I think I remember is me in the sink, like as a bath. Mm-hmm. And apparently you start forming the potential to develop memories when you're 2. I read that somewhere. I don't know how accurate that is.
Fact check us.
Fact check me. So like, I guess that would make sense. But I also don't know if my memory of that is me remembering a picture of me in the bath. So I don't actually remember the experience of me in the sink as the bathtub. I just saw that picture at some point and thought, that's weird. I'm going to remember that.
Yeah, no, you make a good point. It's the same thing for me. I don't know if I really remember it or I just remember people telling me about it. Because, when I was 2 years old, I think I just turned 2 years old, I fell down a flight of stairs and broke my leg. And part of me thinks I maybe... 2? Yeah. Part of me thinks I maybe kind of remember tumbling down the stairs.
What were you trying to do? Do you remember?
What do you mean? What am I trying to do? If I'm 2 years
old,
old,
trying to fly?
I'm trying to be mobile for the first time. You're
learning how to walk?
You don't know how to do anything. Apparently, it was a family member over who left a door open that shouldn't have been open that allowed me to access stairs and fall down them.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but you don't remember that, but someone told you that you broke your leg when you were 2.
I don't know if I remember it.
What if that never happened?
Well, there's pictures of me wearing a cast as a baby.
Yeah, and it was hard to forge pictures at that time.
Forge pale? Who would do that?
I'm just thinking, like, imagine...
Who's faking pictures of babies with broken legs?
But isn't it crazy? Sorry, bad example. But just more generally speaking, isn't it crazy that a lot of our memories are based off of people just telling us what happened?
It's true. Our childhoods weren't entirely recorded on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah. So
where's the evidence? True. Photo, video, or it didn't happen. So maybe we just didn't happen.
Did you have like home movies? Did one of your parents like whip out the video camera?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some tapes. Well, because I was in commercials, as you guys may recall. Yeah. So we were used to that kind of scene. So my parents did buy a video camera. I don't know, in spirit of it.
Practice for auditions or?
We used to make like musicals. Well, not musicals, but like dance remixes. So like we'd play a Britney Spears song and then create a dance, my sister and I and our friends in our backyard.
Yeah. So it's much rarer for people in our generation to even have footage of us as children, right? Like I don't think I have that at all, unless like maybe an uncle or cousin had it and we were at a family event, because my parents didn't do that. We have like, I found these tapes at one point. My brother and I found them. That's just like me as like a very young person. And my brother's 4 years older than me. Sister's 2 years older than me. We're just like talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So you just hear me yelling out Leonardo. Like that's the closest thing. No,
Oh, no.
Leonardo
The Ninja
was
Turtle.
the leader of the
Yeah,
blue
yeah,
Ninja
okay,
Turtle. With
sure.
the swords, he was awesome. Turtles in Time, yeah. But I don't have home movies. I have like photo books of me as a child, which was a thing where you used to like have to take film to a store in the mall, and some strangers would have to like look at your family photos to print them and hand them back
Well,
to you.
now it's the same thing, but it's just on the internet. The strangers on the internet just looking at your kids.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so. Make your accounts private, people. Okay, that was a tangent, but I think it's interesting that. So for me, it's like it kind of makes sense that I may have remembered that traumatic event, even though like 99% chance I'm just making it up in my head because people told me I fell down the stairs, right? But I feel like childhood injuries is often something you hear about people remembering, and it makes sense. There's not room in our brains to remember things that happened to us 30 years ago, but maybe you do remember like the few more traumatic or injuries, things like that. That makes sense. So
Yeah.
childhood injuries, you got any?
I got a couple.
You got a couple?
I got a couple.
You got the scars?
One of them, you can see the scar
Oh.
on my forehead. I got somewhere between 10 and 16, I don't remember, stitches. Because when I was 8, I don't even know. I don't know the difference between 6 and 10 years old. Like,
Yeah, it
that's
doesn't
just,
matter.
it's all a blur. Somewhere in that age group, I was dancing on my parents' bed, like jumping, and I just fell head first into the dresser, smashed my entire head open. And my only memory that I actually do remember of that entire incident is not jumping on the bed. Like, I was told that's what I was doing. But it's when they put me on an operating table, they strapped me into something that felt like a spider suit. And I just keep thinking spiders because...
Sorry, hold on.
Wait, no.
What's a spider?
Let me explain. This is my child brain. But I remember it was like this black big Velcro thing that had straps that like they strapped my arms in because they needed me to stay still. Because obviously I was crazy and, or, you know, I don't know what was I was screaming, I guess.
They strapped you to the
Yeah,
table.
I remember being strapped in a big black Velcro thing that to me from my vantage point looked like a bunch of spider arms. And then I remember someone dangling something over my face that I thought was a
Well, like you're a cat, they're trying to distract you.
I thought it was a goldfish. They were hanging like a jelly goldfish above my eyes to like make me look at them and like forget about what's going on. And then they sewed up my head, I guess.
Yeah.
But all I remember is the spider suit.
Spider.
And I was like traumatized.
Wow.
Of being strapped into
you don't
anything
remember
now.
the trauma of the injury itself.
No.
It's
I
the
mean, I
treatment.
believe I was jumping on the bed. I have memories of jumping on beds.
No, but that's I have something almost exactly the same. I was spinning, I'm like 6 years old, spinning in circles really fast, and I fell over into the corner of a piano bench. And I have a big scar in the middle of my forehead because of it. And yeah, I remember when it happened, there was like a hole in the middle of my head, like bleeding. But I didn't feel, I remember this. I wasn't like, I wasn't in pain or afraid. I was scared my parents would find out
that you've ruined their piano.
Yeah, and I remember my dad took me to the hospital, and it just needed a few stitches, not many, but they did a terrible job. So I have like a really obvious scar,
A gap
in the middle of my forehead, which is like a place where you want to do a good job of stitching a scar.
Yeah, your scar you can see like the gap. Mine you can see the points of the needles.
Yeah, for you it's just
Like,
like
you
kind
can
of that
see-
thin white. Yours looks like how a scar should look.
Yeah, but you can also see if you look closely the like where they sewed it together, like the stitching.
Yeah,
Like I'm a rag doll or something.
I guess I got the new
You got lucky right in the middle of your forehead.
someone's
there.
first time
Someone's first
stitching
time.
a wound, I guess.
I also have another one
Yeah.
where I broke my nose like really bad to the
Was
point.
this the dancing
The
injury?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
always dancing on beds, on steps,
Jealous.
somewhere. I don't know if this was before or after the head incident.
Sure.
I don't know, but it was my first day of grade 1. So that
First day of
timeline I
school.
remember, first day of school, and I was dancing like tap dancing on the steps, and I just went head first again. there she goes into the steps and cracked right here. I have a memory of sitting on the counter, like being put on the kitchen counter right after, and like blood all over whatever I was wearing.
Yeah.
And then I have a memory of being in the car and being told to hold a kitchen towel like basically up into my face
Yeah.
as I was bleeding. And then I asked my sister about this, if she remembered this or any memories. And she said she remembers that she was like handed off to a stranger temporarily because my parents were freaking out and had to take me to the hospital. So I guess there was just like a neighbor that like they didn't really know. But she was but like, what do you do, right?
Take Jen, we broke the other one.
I mean, people were trusting in our neighborhood, I guess, back then. But like, that's her memory. She's like, I was just handed over to a random person. But yeah, after that, they thought they were gonna have to re-break and restructure my nose because it was like cracked to the bone. But they didn't. It luckily healed okay enough. But to this day, if I take a picture from underneath my face, you can see that my nose is completely crooked. Like one nostril is like way off. You can't tell straight on looking, but from underneath it's definitely crooked.
It gives you character.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
That was
a
my
good
second
one.
injury.
So both
Simply
head
the dancer.
injuries, eh?
Yeah. Oops.
I've got another. I horsing around probably with my older brother. And I fell through a window. I smashed my head through a window.
Like in the movies?
Yeah, I guess so. Does that happen in movies?
Was it your brother?
Again, I don't know what happened. I think I was on the back of a couch in the like living room, but it's against a window. And I just remember smashing it back into it in a way where like apparently my head, like the dome of my skull cracked through it, but the rest of it was like there still. So I guess
you were stuck in the window?
My mom comes in and I think it's probably based on what she's told me years later, but I think she was freaking out because if the rest of the glass had like come down, it might have just like sliced my head, right?
That's like out of Final Destination.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I got a few more, but like...
were you injured from that? Like what happened?
No, but I vividly remember shards of glass being vacuumed out of my hair.
Oh.
I remember she got the vacuum out and I could hear the glass going into the vacuum.
Wow. Kids are so dumb. Like, I'm just thinking, like the things I was doing. How, like, I can't even picture today dancing so much that I fall flat on my face on a hard rock object.
I could picture you doing that.
What? No, but I'm just saying, like, that doesn't happen once you're older, usually, unless it's a terrible accident. But these types of accidents seem to be more common among children.
Well, yeah, of
We
course.
just think nothing's going to go wrong.
That's the time to get
Let me just
messy
jump off
and
this
make
rock.
mistakes. Last one is I got a concussion as a kid too. These are all head injuries, eh? Maybe that explains
That
something.
explains a lot.
I was playing do you remember Foursquare? So in the yard at recess,
Foursquare.
there'd be like a square divided into 4 squares
Sounds
in
like
the
a
yard.
website company.
And like you'd touch a basketball once and you could like bounce it at people.
Okay.
But like I was really into it, and I was pretty good.
You had to win.
But I remember like I dove for a ball on like concrete pavement schoolyard and I hit my head. And I remember like not feeling good. Like I started feeling nauseous and I started seeing yellow, which apparently is a sign of a concussion because I think that's your spinal fluid. I might be making this up. Fact check me, please. But I was taken to the hospital with a very likely a concussion from getting a little bit too into some games at recess.
What happened? Did they not let you go to sleep after?
I got out of school for a bit, so that was great.
That's all you remember?
That's what
good.
I remember. Fun adventure to the hospital.
We've been hurt as kids, but no broken limbs, eh? No broken arms.
I fell down the stairs.
You did break
That's
your
the
leg.
only broken bone I've ever had. I've sprained my ankle since then a few times, and it's always the same one. And I always wonder if that's also the leg I broke, maybe. But no broken bones other than that.
Just head injuries and scars to prove it.
That's right. Yeah.
I remember I know someone, or obviously we had friends who like broke limbs because that was also common to break your arm crawling up a tree or something. But I had a friend at the cottage. We had a cottage when I was younger, and my dad always took us tubing, like water tubing.
Yeah.
It's like water skiing, but you just sit on a tube. Yeah. And he liked to have us jump over waves in the tubes. I mean, we liked it too. That's what the kids wanted. But an unfortunate incident occurred where my friend was up with me and she was pulled over waves and she flew so high that when she came back down and she hit the water, she broke her arm. Like, I'm laughing. It's not funny. She's fine now. She's fine.
It's okay.
And she recovered fine from what I recall. But
what is your dad, a vlogger? What is he, David Dobrik?
we were not even recording, no. No, I remember this because we were at the cottage, so we had to go to the local hospital, which is much smaller and different than where we were like actually from in Toronto. So that was definitely an experience, and ever since that moment, I like didn't want to go tubing ever again.
How do you're going that fast? You break your arm tubing?
I don't think it was the speed, because you kind of slow down before you pull someone over the big waves, but it's kind of fun to go over waves. I just think if you hit the tube at the wrong moment, and you don't weigh much, we were like 90-pound girls, so you like fly right off the tube if you're not holding on, or so, and then she just fell down in the wrong movement. It's possible. Like water can really hurt if you're not careful.
Sure.
So water incidents are a thing.
Play safe. You couldn't pay me enough to do things like what's it, like parasailing? What's the one where like they tie you to the back of a boat?
Yeah.
And
I've never done that.
You don't fucking parachute.
I've water skied a lot.
It's so terrifying to me. The risk of like drowning or falling,
or like
all in one,
catching into a tree and then being dragged somehow from a tree.
And it's often done at these like sort of
resort
destinations where it's like, I don't know the safety standards.
My
of
family's
these places.
Done it.
Really?
My sister did it.
That's crazy.
I was too. I couldn't do it. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. If you ever did it, you cut the cord. You just fly away.
Jesus Christ.
All right. Enough about injuries. Let's get to the fun stuff. The cringe.
Cringe?
Let's just talk about like embarrassing, funny childhood memories. What do you got for me, Simply?
So it's not really a moment. It's more like an understanding or a misunderstanding I had for years. And I feel like I might have told this very briefly before, but I'll elaborate. For the longest time, or as long as I can remember, in Ontario, when you drive on a highway, there were signs that would light up and would have something about like, don't drink and drive. And there'd be a picture of a glass, just look like a Tupperware, whatever, a glass with a big X on it. Not Tupperware, like
it's like a drinking glass.
It looked like a drinking glass to me.
It's like a pint glass, probably.
Yeah, sure. But I didn't know that. I'm 6.
Sure.
So don't drink and drive. Don't drink and drive. I see this language everywhere. I see it on TV. I see it on posters. I see it every time we drive. And so I just believed that you shouldn't drink a beverage.
Any beverage.
Any beverage. Water, coffee, whatever it is. You shouldn't drink and drive because it's distracting, obviously, to pick up something while you're trying to drive. I mean, it sounds silly, but like, I think I was just ahead of my game. Like, I was pretty smart there. I'm like,
okay.
So I swear, what feels like years of my childhood, I thought those were the rules. So one day I'm with my grandpa, and we stopped at Tim Hortons. How Canadian.
Very Canadian.
And he gets a coffee, and we go back and sit in the car, and he opens it. We start to drive, and then he goes to pick it up as he's driving. And I just look at him in shock, and I'm upset. And he goes, "What's wrong, Chrissy?" And I'm like, "You're not supposed to drink and drive." And he just starts laughing, like bursting out laughing. I mean, he doesn't even explain, first of all. So I'm there like feeling like he's breaking the law, and should I do something? Should I call someone? Is he in trouble? Am I in trouble?
He's a criminal.
He doesn't say anything. He just keeps laughing until we're eventually there. And I don't really remember how this concluded, but I think I asked a friend or someone later when I felt like less embarrassed, because I felt embarrassed in that situation, but I didn't know why. And then I learned it meant alcohol, and then I had to ask, what is alcohol?
Oh.
And that's when I learned what alcohol is. No. But it's just, I find that so interesting that messages that are all around you as kids, even though you may not understand the meaning, you can really internalize them if they're constantly like said to you.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for TikTok kids, right? Or any messages, that you may be hearing, words you think you understand, but there's another meaning that you don't have the capacity as a 6-year-old to understand drinking and driving. I don't know what that is yet, right? And no one was explaining it to me because I'm nowhere near driving. Well,
it's funny that no one then explained it. Like, they were okay with you just completely...
But I didn't know. I think I never told anyone or said, like, you're not allowed to drink water and drive, because then maybe they would have told me. I just, honestly, what felt like for years, presumed that's what it meant.
Yeah. I guess it is a weird thing, like, when do you explain drugs and alcohol to your kids, right?
I needed to be explained when I was 6.
I guess so. That's not even
my
that
story.
embarrassing for you. That's mostly adorable.
Is
think.
it?
Yeah.
I think it's funny.
I'll give you like for me, the cringiest moment of my life. Embarrassing. I still think about it to this day and just like die inside a little. When I was like maybe 8, 9 years old, we went to the Canada wave pool just outside of Ottawa. It was super cool. As a kid, like the idea of going to Chuck E. Cheese or the wave pool was
we
like,
had a wave pool.
that was the shit, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm there. I guess we had some family in town. I go to the wave pool, and it's right before, like, we've been there for a while, and it's closing, and they're telling people to get out of the water and leave.
I hate that.
And I guess I'm just sort of on autopilot. So, like, I'm there with my brother's there, too. And I think I'm following him. So I'm, like, walking behind him. And I walk into the change room, and I turn the corner. And he turns around. It's not my brother. It's just some girl with short hair. And I look around, and I'm in the women's change room, like right by the showers, and everyone just starts screaming.
They screamed?
Oh, screaming. Because there's, like, it was right by, I saw things a 9-year-old should not see. And I feel terrible about that. It was not intentional. It was entirely an accident. But yeah, like, I still think about the feeling, like, the cringe of that moment is still with me to this day.
You know, I remember going to wave pools and just always being very surprised at how naked everyone was in the change room. Like women and other young girls.
Is that a difference?
Just like, they just didn't care. They're just walking around. And I remember feeling like this is weird. And I always went in a stall, personally.
I think that's a generational thing too, right?
Yeah, I think
in
so.
change rooms today, people aren't just, or maybe it's a gendered
know.
thing. I don't know. When I was going to the gym a year or two ago, very few people are just getting completely naked and walking around change rooms, in my experience anyway.
Maybe it's different for kids, though.
Yeah. Well, the kids thing too, there was always this awkwardness of like, if a parent has a child with them at a public pool, they're just bringing them into their change room.
Yeah.
And like, at what age is that not appropriate anymore?
I don't know. And I don't have comments because I'm not a parent. It's like a world I do not understand how to negotiate that issue. But
Yeah.
So you walked into the women's change room.
I did.
You were 9.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Yeah. It was
Cringe.
terrible.
How-
I feel so bad.
You knew you were wrong immediately when you realized there was women.
Well, yeah,
then
and you
were
know
like,
what? I know that some
"Fucked up."
kid did the exact same thing I did. Well, some kid followed me, this other little boy. So I turn around and like he's got this look on his face, like he's just his
What?
mind has just
You-
exploded. I was leading a parade in there, apparently.
Yeah, I remember walking into, at some point in my life, I've seen a men's bathroom. I don't really like attach that to an incident, but I just remember thinking at some point in my life, but I noticed it because there were urinals, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Because there's no urinals in the women's. I remember seeing them, maybe it was a family bathroom, I don't know. But I remember thinking, what the fuck is that? Men pee in sinks? That's disgusting. That is what it is.
In sinks?
It looks like a sink. It's just a low sink.
It's just very convenient, right? But I guess you can't use it.
But it's not private. Like, they're just open.
Well, here, I'll say they should have like barriers between them.
Most of them do not.
It's weird when it's just like a flat wall of urinal. You know what I mean? So
Isn't
you
that
walk
how it
up right
always
next to
is?
people.
Like, how is it at work?
There's a divider between them. Yeah. Although it's way too close. You're basically shoulder to shoulder.
You could hold
So
hands.
like you can hold hands.
Like, it's so weird. Why are you guys peeing in sinks?
I'm pee shy. You know, if someone's right there,
You go in a
I
stall.
can't. No, I can't go. So I'm just like awkwardly standing
Do you
there.
go in a stall or do you use the urinal?
Well, it depends what I've got to do.
Say you're just peeing.
Yeah.
Do you go in the stall or no?
Well, if the urinals are taken, I'll go in the
So
stall.
you prefer the urinal?
It's
being
more,
open?
It's more convenient if it's open. Yeah. If there isn't someone right there, right?
But like the risk is they could always open the door while you're peeing and they could just see you.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Sure.
I do not want that.
Shit happens, right? I've told this story before. Remember, I walked into a gas station bathroom that had a toilet and a urinal,
Oh.
And I went to the urinal, and then I realized there's a guy just sitting on the toilet behind me.
And you were an adult.
And I was an adult for that one.
So you have childhood and adult embarrassing stories that are the same.
I'm just walking into bathrooms that I shouldn't be in all the time.
I think we need to ban Ben.
You know what's funny? There's a bar downtown Ottawa. I think it's the Manx, right? Where the signs on the doors, it doesn't say men or women. It's like the, not the astrology sign. What's the word for it? But the symbol, like the Prince symbol.
The logo? Like the, not logo.
The symbol that just says male or female, right?
The gender
I'm like,
keys.
I don't know
You don't
those
know?
symbols. No.
What?
Who cares? Why would I keep that in my brain?
But like,
it's
how
like
do you not
remembering
remember?
Sagittarius versus whatever crystal thing, you know?
No, it's not.
So I've definitely had to like open the door carefully and be like,
this might possibly be the more embarrassing point. You don't know the difference between those gender like those icons, the one with the stick across and then the one with the arrow at the end.
Yeah, no, give me the stick man or the stick woman. That's all I need.
Nice. Okay.
Is that commonly used anymore?
I mean, good point. I think today no one really uses those things, but I remember like people absolutely use those things for like washrooms and symbols.
I think the future is genderless bathrooms anay.
Yeah.
Just give me a private place to do my business.
Just let me be
please.
just give me a stall. I don't want sinks on the wall though. Sorry, I don't want basically sinks on the wall that you pee in. That I can see.
Okay, this is a lot of bathroom talk.
Okay.
Do you have another?
Are we demonetized already?
Do you want me to give another? Because I actually don't remember many. I don't really like even think of myself as like a person until I was a teenager, you know?
Do you have any memories about school? Were you a good student, a bad? Like school as in like 13 or younger, not high school, but like a kid. When you're a kid, when you're being babysat in a location that they called school.
I mostly remember bouncing around schools, actually. So,
because you're a problem child?
Yeah, I kept
going
getting
in the
kicked
washroom?
out of schools for going into the washroom.
Ben.
No, I went to the first and second grade in Ottawa here at a French immersion school. Mm-hmm. Had this really, like to this day, I remember this woman.
Don't
Should I bleep out the name? But she was the kind of teacher who would like be so strict that like everyone would have to line up in alphabetical order, and if anyone made a noise, we wouldn't be allowed to go outside for recess.
The same thing happened to me in French immersion.
And you were in French immersion?
Yeah.
I feel like this is a French immersion.
I remember
Canadian
having
school
friends who weren't in French immersion. They were just like in a regular English school, and they would like be shocked when I described to them what we had to do to get to line up before recess in alphabetical order. Can't bounce a basketball or else you're not going to be allowed to use the basketball next time. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's my memory of like the first and second grade. But then my dad took a job in Australia and we all moved there. And yeah, I remember having a lot of trouble kind of settling in or adjusting to that, right? And we only lived there 2 years before we moved back. And I remember, I met a friend there. We hung out a bit and I invited him over one day to watch a movie. And like, this is 1997, 1998. So I'm like 9 years old. And somehow my parents, I don't know if they let me or if the guy working at the movie store made a mistake, but we rented The Silence of the Lambs. So 2 9-year-olds walk out with that movie. And we go home and watch it. And his mom picks him up. And she calls my parents the next day being like, my son was like screaming all night from night terrors, and then we weren't allowed to hang out anymore.
What about you? Were you terrified? Or
I guess I was
you're
fine. You know what's weird? My parents were like strict and overprotective, I would say, in weird ways. But then when it came to things like that, they would just like, I guess, didn't really regulate like the kind of media I was consuming, I guess.
You just reminded me of something I did that's really cringy.
Yeah? Lay it on me.
We used to have sleepovers,
Yeah.
like a bunch of girls from grade school, and we would prank call the boys in the school. Do you remember prank calling?
I
like
remember.
this? Yeah, it's really immature, but people thought it was actually funny for a
Sure.
time, especially if you were a child. So everyone had each other's home numbers because no one has cell phones. But at home are your parents and other people who live in the house. However, we thought it was funny to pick up the phone and call boys in our school, and when no one answered, we would leave messages.
Yeah.
And because we were just so edgy, we left messages with swear words because we thought...
Because that's funny.
Because that's funny. And, like, my memory of this isn't that there was any context of the swear. Like, we weren't actually saying much other than just saying, like, fuck, bitch. Because it was just funny to do that. So we left messages on this poor boy. I'm not going to say his name, but I remember this particular situation because his mother called a few of our parents after this event and got really, really mad, as they should. Because here we are leaving messages.
Well, how they track? Do they star 16? Like, you can figure out who made the call?
This is when people had caller ID, so you could see. So they knew it was another girl's house we were having a sleepover at. Yeah. But they, like, figured it out. Like, people know.
People know.
So I got in trouble, and my friends got in trouble, and there was a period where we couldn't have sleepovers because we left swear word messages on parents' phone. Like, it's so stupid. Like, it's not this kid's phone. It's his parents, but, like, we're not thinking. Yeah, that's really cringy.
Were you often getting into trouble as a kid, or not really?
That was the extent of trouble as a kid, if I'm talking, like, before I was a teenager. Like, that shit.
Yeah. Like, me, I don't remember getting grounded or punished at all. Like, in high school, I was more rebellious.
Yeah. Sure, me too. But as a kid, prank calling.
That's funny. Yeah, I guess you often get more rebellious in high school. But I also had older siblings who... I guess sort of broke down some barriers for me. My brother's 4 years older. I have an older sister too. And I feel like they were held to a higher standard than I was. So by the time high school rolled around, you were an older... Well, I remember, like, I don't know if I should share this. I remember my brother's room was really messy. He lived on, there was like a small room in the attic of our house, which was my brother's room. It didn't even have a door though. It was just like stairs to walk up there. And I remember, like, my mom was always complaining about how messy his room was. And I remember waking up one night. I guess I had already gone to bed. So it's like, I don't know, 10 p.m., 11. Maybe I'm in, like, the 8th grade or something. And I just hear all this noise, and I walk out of my room. And my mom is just throwing my brother's stuff down the stairs.
Time to move out?
Like, just like, breaking his shit. And we're, like, my sister comes out, and I'm out there, and we're, like, looking at her. And she's just, like, yelling about how messy his room is and just, like, destroying his stuff. I was like... Okay.
Where was your brother?
I guess, like, I didn't have the frame of reference to know how, like, crazy that was at the time. But by the time I was a teenager and I had a messy room, that wasn't happening to me.
Yes. Yeah. Parents are stricter usually on their firstborn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had the same experience. But it mostly manifested in high school, so I've probably mentioned this in another podcast. Like when I got grounded for things that like my sister didn't, or I tried to go for parties and they were crazy about me ever trying alcohol, but they were totally fine with my sister. That's kind of normal things. But yeah, so you were the youngest, so you're the lucky one.
I guess so.
So you never got in trouble at school? Because I remember getting in trouble at school for not because I still to this day feel like I did anything wrong, but because times have changed and things that weren't cool then, it would be totally uncool of what happened to me today if it were to happen today.
What?
Sorry, let me explain. So I remember being like 10, a 10-year-old girl, and wearing a thick tank top, like a tank top with thick straps. Oh. And I guess the size of the strap of the tank top is what determined whether or not it was against the dress code. Mm-hmm. It had to be a certain size because you were allowed to wear like the thicker strap ones because the boys could wear muscle tops. Oh. That's why. But if you were a girl, the tank tops that are made are usually like the slightly skinnier strap tank tops, spaghetti strap tops. That's just what they were called. Sure. Anyways, I was like a 10. I did not have boobs or was not developed. Just so you understand.
Put this in reference.
Yeah. And I was wearing a tank top that had somewhere in the middle of like spaghetti top strap and the thicker ones. So it was like an inch. And I got called out of the hallway by the principal of the entire school, so not just my teacher. And she said that what I was wearing was inappropriate and I would have to put on a sweater or my parents would be called. And I remember just crying in the hallway because I was shamed by being called out of the class in front of everyone. There's 30 students who turn their heads and say, "Oh, why are they calling Cristine?
Yeah, why is she in trouble?
She's in trouble."
For showing her shoulders?
Yeah, I guess the thickness of the strap was just slightly under what was allowed because the boys could wear muzzle tops. It wasn't low cut either. It was like a high cut tank top. I remember exactly what it looks like. It was baby blue.
Yeah.
I feel like these kinds of things don't happen as much today in the same cities or places that they used to happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen in certain like more conservative areas. I understand
probably
that.
Happens more than we
And
realize.
in private schools, sure, like I know that, but in the same location and area where this happened to me, I highly doubt that would happen today.
Yeah, and that's clearly like if a boy had like a muscle shirt on and the straps were an inch, is he getting pulled into the principal's office? No,
that's the thing.
It's not going to happen, right?
I just felt extremely embarrassed and like targeted by that, and kids talked about it, that, oh, she got pulled away by the principal. She's in trouble.
Did you get sent home? Or?
No, because I had a cardigan in my bag. So I just put it on because I didn't want any more like trouble or attention. I didn't want my parents called. Like it was a threat. She said, we're going to call your parents unless you cover up. So I don't want my parents called. But I just remember.
Sorry, I'm laughing. Yeah, this is.
It's no, yeah. I understand. It's just crazy to think back because what was I going to do? I'm like a helpless child. So I just followed instructions and felt like I'd violated the world. I don't even think anyone complained. Like, I don't think I was told on. I just think the principal does her rounds, looks for people to call out, and that's what it felt like to me anyways.
Yeah, like, I guess there has to be, like, some sort of standard so people aren't, like, incredibly inappropriate.
So people aren't naked.
Like, naked at school. But also, that must be, like, one of the worst parts about being a teacher, too, right?
To have to.
Do you think your average teacher wants to have to, like, police how short someone's skirt is or some bullshit like that? That sounds like terrible to me.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy job. I just felt like it was not necessary to call me out. And it probably caused more harm than good, calling me out like that and making everyone whisper and, you know.
Yeah, no, that sucks.
Anyways.
All right, do you want to flip the script? Do you have any more funny, embarrassing stories, Cristine?
I have something I did to my dad that I think is funny.
Okay.
So I really got into dyeing people's hair when I was like, I guess I was like 12 or 13. But what I didn't realize is when we were at the cottage, my dad said he would agree to let me dye his hair purple just for the summer. I don't know. I guess he didn't really understand like how hair dye works. He doesn't dye his hair. He doesn't
understand.
He doesn't dye his hair. He's not a guy who dyes his hair. So he just thought that it would like
it could shower out?
I guess so. I don't know. He didn't understand, like, it was dye. Anyways, so I dyed his hair, and my dad has a receding hairline, and what I didn't realize as the hairdresser is that in rubbing the dark purple dye into his scalp, like, very far up in order to get, you know, some of the strands at the front, it dyed his entire scalp, including like his forehead that you could still see after he showered, even like 3 more times. So he went to shower and he just has this purple like head. So
you're dyeing his head where the hair should be.
Exactly. So, I mean, he laughed it off because it was the summer, luckily, and it was like cottage season, and but like I did that to him.
So I was having a lot of trouble thinking of funny stories about me because I guess there's not enough room in my smooth brain. But Cristine reached out or wanted to reach out to my brother to see if he had any dirt on my childhood.
Oh, and I found some.
And he gave it a little bit. I'll save your masterpiece there in a second, but he gave us a few things, a couple short ones that. One time we were out for a walk with my mom and we ran into one of her friends who was a larger lady. And apparently, like, without batting an eye, I just turned to my mom, like, right in front of this woman and go, "That's the fattest woman I've ever seen."
How old are you?
I think I'm like 5 years old or something. Sorry about that if you're out there.
I feel like kids Kids say shit
Kids
that they
say
don't
the
realize.
darndest things.
No, but kids need to say these things sometimes to realize that was mean. Because how else do they learn, right? And then hopefully,
hopefully
your mother told
can...
you that was rude, right?
Yeah, I assume so. I don't remember this at all.
Okay.
For all I know, my brother's making it up to make me look bad. But yeah, I guess you hope you can teach your children these lessons without them horribly embarrassing someone else.
Sure.
I do feel bad about that, even though it's kind of hilarious. He also brought up that I once ate a brown crayon because I thought it was chocolate. I may have mentioned this before. The weird thing about that is after taking a bite out of it, I kept eating it. And it must have not tasted like chocolate. I don't know. I was dumb. I was a dumb kid. And the last thing he brought up was Bare Naked Man, Cristine.
The Bare Naked Ladies?
No. So my sister had Barbies.
Uh-huh.
So you had Ken and Barbie dolls.
Yes.
And I guess there was a point in my life where I was interested in playing with them, but I was very interested in playing with them when they were naked.
Oh
and only
my God,
naked.
Ben!
And Ken was Bare Naked Man, and I guess he would fly around. He was kind of a superhero in my mind, and him and Barbie would have fun together with no clothes on.
But even Naked Ken had underwear. But it
Well,
was
he just
like
had
skin
like
color.
they just had, just like
I remember Naked
they
Ken.
smooth over their genitals, I guess.
It's just like a bump. But it looked like underwear. There's like a little line, I remember.
Yeah, but I guess my older siblings gave me a hard time for playing with Barbie dolls. Anyway, so there was that, and then he... I don't even know how to explain this. I guess I got sort of into like writing a little bit as like, I don't know, maybe I was like 8 years old or something like that. He found and had given you at one point this like script I wrote. I had a stuffed animal monkey collection. I was very into monkeys. And I guess I had seen the show The X-Files. And I came up with a script for a show about monkey X-Files.
And lucky for everyone, we have that script with us right here.
I can't believe this still
Straight
exists.
from 1995, 1997? I don't know.
Is there a date on it?
There's actually no date on this, but it is packaged nicely as if to preserve
Somebody
the intellect.
preserved. So there's 2 pages here. I guarantee you there were like pages and pages of this.
There's more to this story.
Oh, there's absolutely
okay,
more.
We'll have to film a part 2 if we find it.
All right, you want to give
So
us
this is from Ben's mind as a child, titled M Files for X Files.
Not the X-Files, the Monkey Files.
Monkey Abduction is the title. Longtail sleeps snugly in his bed. That's a good alliteration.
Okay.
Suddenly, the window breaks. Pinky walks through the entrance of MBI headquarters. She walks up to the secretary's desk. Hi, I'm looking for Assistant Director Banana.
Yeah.
See, you guys think I'm making this shit up about bananas. It's always been bananas.
It's always been there.
Right this way. The secretary leads Pinky to Banana. Special Monkey Pinky, you've been assigned to work with Agent Abubu, a.k.a. Kabubu. What? There's an alias?
I guess he had 2 names.
It's a good alias. Be here tomorrow, 8 a.m., 7:59 the next day. Pinky walks to a special room with pictures of UFOs and abductees. Hi, I'm Special Monkey Abubu. Welcome to my humble abode. Hello, I'm Special Monkey Pinky. So how'd you get stuck with this job, Pinky? Actually, I've been looking forward to working with you. Really? I was under the impression that you were sent to spy on me. Spy on you? The phone rings. Abubu! There's been an abduction. It's Longtail. I'll be right over. Abubu hangs up.
Okay, I'm pretty sure this is just the first episode of the X-Files, but I've replaced the characters with the monkeys I have named.
So you wrote the whole season. Is this the pilot?
This is the pilot.
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
pretty sure
It never got picked up. I wonder why.
But like Longtail, Pinky, Abubu, these are all monkeys I had.
Wait. Later, at the crime scene, Abubu walks over to a moosey police officer. You're so Canadian.
What does that mean?
It's just a bunch of blah, blah, blah. But I here's part of the conversation. Like my bugs? Yeah, they're nice. Want to water my trees? No thanks. You don't like me. Bang!
Did he shoot him?
I don't know. Wait. This guy didn't like my bugs, so I shot him in the leg. Where's my sock? I'm not kidding.
Well, Christine, you see, it's a metaphor.
Have this one. A boo-boo says hello to the other police officer. I am police officer Kanga and Roo.
Here, let me read the end.
I'm a little lost in the plot. Can you
maybe if
elaborate?
I narrate it, I'll better explain. At 1 o'clock, Assistant Director Banana's office. Banana says, "Abubu, your father was shot. He's in critical condition." Abubu goes to the hospital. I know who did it. Who? The owl. The monkey-eating owl. The phone rings. Abubu, it's Pinky. She's been abducted again. Abubu calls a taxi and goes home. 1 month later. Meet you there at 12. Abubu sees a big nose.
What?
Puddles, come in. We found Pinky. Later, at the Monkington Hospital. Pinky, I'd like you to meet someone. Sellers, Gangley, and Mohawk. Gangley says, check it out, Abubu. I had breakfast with the guy who shot John F. Kennedy.
What?
And then I'm missing the rest of the page. That's the end.
So wait, Abubu has intel about JFK? Why were you writing about the assassination of JFK?
So far, it's all about monkeys.
And then it got really real.
I'm pretty sure I just watched the first episode of The X-Files and replaced the characters with monkeys.
And then saw the JFK stuff.
Maybe that is said at one point.
Like, this is a child's brain right here.
This is why we don't want children.
This is why we
You think I want
children.
something with...
You think I want this trash script? Throw it in the garbage. But like, I'm pretty sure I wrote some stories at some point, and they probably sounded just as ridiculous. Although I can't say I wrote an entire series about monkeys. Like you, man, like you're just so committed to the monkeys.
I can't lie. Yeah, I really like monkeys. Most of my childhood was like monkeys, Pokemon,
Donkey Kong.
Dragon Ball Z. Donkey Kong I
Is a
discovered
monkey.
later in life. He can fall within the umbrella of
And
monkeys.
you always like Officer Banana.
Yeah, you're going to rub this in my... Like, why does this still exist, by the way?
don't know.
Someone put it in a plastic sheet.
Probably your parents. They're like, this is going to be famous one day. My brilliant son. He's not a doctor, but he wrote this. And here you are. You just got your first table read.
There we go.
We're
Maybe
going to get him a series deal. Netflix, are you there?
someone will pick it up.
The M-Files. You heard it here on SimplyPodLogical. Don't forget to subscribe for more.
Well, yeah, that would be better than the 9th season of The X-Files when they didn't even have Mulder.
I never watched The X-Files. So this is embarrassing about you as a child, but, you've changed, we hope. But I have...
I'm still just thinking about monkey investigations in my head.
But I have a story about you from very recently that's pretty embarrassing, where you discovered some new knowledge that you just did not know for the last 30 years of your life.
This is childhood stories, not embarrassed Ben stories.
I'm changing the game. I can do what I want. It's my show, too. So, like, 2 years ago, maybe, you called me very concerned.
On the phone?
In the washroom. No, like, you called me in the washroom, and you're like, Chris, something is wrong. And you go, hold on, let me compose myself so I don't laugh. You said, Chris, why are there holes in my eyes?
I remember this.
And I go, what are you talking about? And you go, look. And you point me to a hole at the front inner corner of the eye that is the tear duct. And I said, what are you talking about? That's where you cry. That's a tear. You know how water comes out when you cry? And you go, no. Like, I think you thought water just came out everywhere, like across the board from no holes, just from your eyeball socket.
I guess it never occurred to me that when you cry, I thought the water just came out of your eyes.
Ben, it's okay. Don't cry. Ben, you're crying out of the holes in your eyes. You better calm down there.
Yeah, I remember that. This is embarrassing. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I was looking at the mirror really closely, and I noticed, there's little holes in your eyelid.
Well, just one hole in each eye. Do you have more than one?
But I was freaking out, oh my God, I've never noticed there's holes.
Just one hole in each eye? You never learned about tear ducts? I mean, I guess as someone who's never worn makeup or kind of pulled that part of your eye down to apply eyeliner, you've never really explored that part of your body before.
Yeah, no.
So you're learning things. Yeah. Is that as embarrassing as me not understanding drinking and driving?
Well, I mean, you were a child and I was like 25 when this happened.
25? You're like 30.
No, this was when we were like first dating, so it was really embarrassing.
No.
Your time.
I feel like it was like 2 years ago.
You often tell stories on this podcast and you're like, I think that was like 2 years ago. It was 10 years ago. You do that all the time.
I'm sorry, I'm bad at this. Anyways. Good times as a child or an adult.
Thank you for sharing that, though.
You're welcome. Okay. Please don't share anything about me.
Yeah.
We can move on to the end of this podcast segment now.
Apologies to Tati. We were going to have her on today, but we ran out of time.
But she came back to the internet.
It's nice to see you back and thriving and happy, Tati.
Yes. Welcome back, Tati. Please fix my makeup.
Positive vibes. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed some of that.
I mean, I cried. It was funny. I cried
out of the little holes in your eyes. Yeah, is that where the tears come from?
Let us know down below in the comments if you guys have had similar childhood stories, or if you have even better stories than us. Probably. I feel like I was kind of a boring child.
Yeah, but you might not want to share those on the internet.
Okay, well, don't. Maybe that's another good point. Some childhood stories should stay in your childhood, and they don't need to be shared all over the internet. So bless everyone who doesn't have evidence.
Yeah. Protect your data online.
All right, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in.
Happy Taco Tuesday. We're back now. We're here.
Miss 1 week, and you act like we were gone for off season.
I missed this, but we're here, guys.
Sometimes we just need a little break.
I was busy planning streams and stuff.
Yeah, you're streaming. We're doing things. There's the nail polish and the videos.
Like, who are you? Okay, we're gonna end this podcast. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see y'all later. Bye.